Grew up as a Lutheran. I used to think meditation. How could I do that? That's not part of religion. That's not something they taught me. What about breath work? Oh, that's not something they taught me. I can't do that, and what is God going to think? I don't think God gives a shit.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, Show Up. My name is Daryl Dittmer. As someone who built financial freedom from scratch, I understand what's possible, as there was a time when I thought I had only a life of mediocrity ahead of me. Drinking, drugs, and zero confidence plagued me. The one thing that changed my life is when I decided to do things differently and give success a chance. And I don't just mean financial success, I mean life success. I started to show up to my life and my career, and one step after another provided me the life I never thought possible. At any age, life begins to change when you start to show up. Welcome to my podcast.
Something that I'm not so chill about that I think is a very important topic, especially these days, is self-confidence. Self-confidence isn't something that you tell yourself you have. It's not something that you wish for. It's not something that you hope for and then it shows up. It's something that's a product of what you do. So let's talk about first how you lose self-confidence. You know how you lose self-confidence? By doing things to yourself and not for yourself that take away from your self-confidence. There's overeating, over drinking, tons of things. Over selfieing. There's a lot of things you can do to lose your self-confidence, and there's a lot of things you can do to pretend like you have self-confidence. People will go on social media and you'd think that their lives are these, just unbelievable, like, oh man, look at them. They're so this and they're so that. And meanwhile, they're struggling mightily. And that's difficult to see. I love it when people have real self-confidence. So how do you gain real self-confidence? You gain real self-confidence by doing difficult things, by impressing yourself, by taking care of your body, by taking care of your mind, your heart, your soul, all of it. By doing the things that help you move your life forward, not the things that keep your life in the same spot. There's so many people nowadays that get so hung up on politics or they've put themselves in a little box with a specific religion. And I'm not against religion. I'm not against politics. I think politics for so many people can be a waste of time, and religion can keep your belief system very confined and very small. I think the way to gain self-confidence is to, number one, do things that are difficult, but number two, expand your belief system. Expand the things that you're exposed to. You can't go through life, and I did this when I was younger, which is how and why I can talk about it, but you can't go through life thinking, oh, if I look into this, I'm going to go to hell. If I consider this, I'm going to go to hell. The guilt and the shame and the heaven versus hell stuff, it's insane. So, explore and expand and allow yourself to wonder at some of the things that people have developed in terms of their lives and their philosophies and how they do things. And I used to think, meditation. I grew up as a Lutheran. I used to think meditation. How could I do that? That's not part of religion. That's not something they taught me. What about breath work? Oh, that's not something they taught me. I can't do that, and what is God going to think? I don't think God gives a shit. If there's a personal God out there and that personal God doesn't want you to be happy and self-confident and full of wonder and exploration and then what kind of a God is that? So when you're thinking about doing your life, and how does that unfold, and what does that mean for you to do your life, think about expanding your life. Think about making your life larger and making what you think and what you believe and what you're willing to attempt larger. Don't expect self-confidence if you wake up every morning and you hate your job and you won't do anything to change it. Don't expect to wake up with self-confidence in the morning if you're overeating every single day and every single night. Don't expect to gain self-confidence if you're in some sort of an active addiction. It's just not going to happen. There are things in life that need to be jettisoned. Don't expect to be self-confident if you're in a relationship that's damaging, that's ripping your soul out. Not going to happen. There are things that we are in charge of taking care of in our lives that contribute to being self-confident. And maybe it's, you know what, I need to tell this person that I just can't live the way that they've asked me to live anymore. And if they can't handle that, then they need the boot. They need to get out of your life. And it can be that strong in terms of the things that you have to do and the difficulty level of things that you have to do. Maybe it's, you know what, I'm not exactly sure where the next paycheck is going to come from, but if I continue to stay in that job, I'm going to have a really terrible rest of my life. Let's say you've been doing it 20 years and you need to do it another 10 or 15 to retire. Why would you do that? And again, I've been there with these things. I've had to leave situations, and some, honestly, that were very lucrative. And I left because I couldn't handle, I didn't want to continue with what that culture had in store for me. I couldn't do it. It didn't resonate in here. So I had to leave. And my personal experiences and you know, I've done well financially, all that kind of thing. But I left and I stopped chasing money at the age of 48. And I didn't, you know, there wasn't anything that you know, kept me there or you know, made me want to stay. And the money didn't make me want to stay. I could have made a lot more money. But I decided that I was going to stop chasing that at the expense of my self-confidence and how I felt about my life. So difficult decisions have to be made, difficult things have to be done, and that is just called life. You know, it's not magical. It's really not. And chances are, you know what those things are. Chances are, you know, there are probably 2 or 3 things in your life, maybe one really big one, that you need to take care of to help put you on a path to bolster your self-confidence and how you feel about you and how you feel about life. And I can't recommend more highly that you do those things. And I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying, you know, go against your belief system, but I am saying challenge your belief system. Look at your belief system. Maybe your belief system needs to expand. Maybe that needs to be revised so that you can create room to do something that today feels like you can't do. And I'll tell you, as long as your motives are clear and you're not hurting anyone else and honestly not hurting yourself, and I don't mean the pain of change, because that can suck, that can hurt. I mean you're not hurting yourself in a detrimental way. Then you have to consider making those moves. You have to consider one or two or three things in your life that will probably completely change your experience on this planet. So think about that. Think about, where am I with my self-confidence? Understand that self-confidence isn't something you make up. It's not something you contrive, or, you look in the mirror 5,000 times a day and tell yourself you're self-confident. That shit doesn't work. It's not going to help. What's going to help is you changing something in your life that helps bolster your self-confidence, whatever that is. And look at your religious beliefs, look at your political beliefs, look at where you spend time, throw it all out on a table, look at it, and make some decisions. And I guarantee you, if you do that and you make some changes in your life that you need to make, your life will change.
Thank you for joining us on the Show Up podcast. To learn more about me, my coaching, or my books, please feel free to visit my website, DarylDittmer.com. DarylDittmer.com. Thank you.